The following program does not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Reality Radio 101, its advertisers and sponsors, or its listening audience. Listener discretion is advised.
Let's ride, heading up 35. One way, we're headed at 90K. We'll over the two-lane causeway. We'll go left, it's gonna be a classy day. Kickstands down, head on over to the band stage. Kick back and listen to the band play. Whoa, whoa, let's take a ride today. Whoa, whoa, across the causeway. Rockin' day. Whoa, whoa, the classy chassis way.
Good evening and welcome to this House of Musicians with your host, singer, songwriter, and founder of the band, Inner City Outlaws, the Baritone Bear, Barry Smith, right here on Reality Radio 101. To get on board right now, send us an email. Our email addresses are thisHouseofMusicians@gmail.com or instudio101@gmail.com.
Across the causeway. Whoa, an HD rockin' day.
And now, right to your host of this House of Musicians, Barry Smith.
Hey, good evening, fine listeners, and welcome to this House of Musicians radio show right here on Reality Radio 101. We hope you enjoy the next hour with us as we do our small part to help promote musicians, bands, and venues. Gary Labar, how are you, sir?
I'm fine, Mr. Barry Smith. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. I'm excited. We have a very talented artist on the show who hails from London, Ontario. Well, she hails from Kirkland Lake, but now she's in London. She has a wonderful CD out, and we're happy to have her. Leanne Mayer, how are you?
Hey, guys. I'm wonderful. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, we're honored to have you on the show. It's nice to talk to you, and I can't wait for the folks to hear your songs. I'm sure a lot that are listening have, but there's some that haven't. So, Leanne, man, let's start right at the bottom, or right at the very beginning when you first started being interested in music. I'm just interested to know, like, how you were influenced by it. Was it your friends, your family? Usually, like, it's parents or something with LPs or 8-tracks or cassettes. How about you? How were you influenced, and who did you like back then?
Yes. So definitely my dad was a big music fan, and he always had a huge record collection, and I always had like free access to make mixtapes. I don't want to age myself here either, but there used to be a thing called mixtapes that we would make.
Of course.
But yeah, he was a big Elvis fan primarily. But he loved all sorts of music. So like Tina Turner, CCR, Bruce Springsteen, and then he would like pop, some of the popular stuff. So it would be all sorts. There'd be some R&B, like Marvin Gaye would have some, popular songs at the time. And then he would like some old school country, like Dolly Parton, Willie Nelson, and all those kind of, Johnny Cash. So a lot of those stuck with me, like Johnny Cash, Dolly Parton, CCR are still some of my favorite bands.
Of course,
so I was influenced a lot that way.
Yeah, me too. Same people. From my dad, it's kind of the same idea. Country music, Merle Haggard, Johnny Cash for sure. Maybe the first song I learned on guitar was Folsom Prison Blues. You know what I mean? So now, how about
Johnny Cash?
Yeah. So who doesn't? I mean, what a phenomenon he was. So what do you think when you first like fell in love with music? What do you think it was? Like, do you remember the song or the artist, or was it just was it just the three that you mentioned? Like, was it all of them or four of them?
It was just, I always loved music, and I always was a very shy child. Like, I'm total opposite of what I was as a child. So I was like a secret singer.
Right.
Secret. My parents knew, obviously, because I grew up in an apartment, so you can't really hide anything. They would hear me belting it out, but it would always be like behind the privacy of my door, really.
That's cool.
And I didn't get the confidence until I was about 19 years old, and I started working in corrections with young offenders. And when I was in college at the same time. And the gentleman that worked there was Kirkland Lake's like big singer-songwriter, James Taylor, or Jamie Taylor, he would go by too. Yeah. And he had performed, my whole life. So he had written the town song, and he had been on the radio, and he performed everywhere and at every festival, right? So I obviously knew who he was, and I looked up to him because he was doing, what I always wanted to do. Right. So we went out on a work thing, and we did karaoke for the first time. And Jamie heard me sing, and he said, there's a contest in Northern Ontario. It's called the Spirit of the North. I think you should go in it. It's next week.
Wow.
Yeah. And, you sing a few songs, and then if you get narrowed down to the finals and you win, you get to record on a compilation CD. And I was like, wow, like, okay, if you think I can do this, right? So we practiced and we did it, and it was awesome. I did win a spot on the CD.
Wow.
And yeah, it was amazing. It was.
How good did that feel, especially being new to that field, that business,
it was
right?
Crazy. It was crazy. And I was so young. I was 19 at the time. So, you just think like, oh, like all my dreams are coming true. And it was super awesome. And then I got to play with him for a few years in his band.
Cool.
And then I moved to London, and then I kind of didn't do anything for a while. I lost all my contacts, and, life happened, and I did other things. So it took me a while to get back, but that was kind of how I got my start.
Perfect. And what a great way to have to start out. Now, I know you play ukulele and you play it well. I want to talk about that. But first,
thank you.
Do you play guitar too?
No, I don't. I want to. If I had 4 more hours a day.
Yeah, no kidding, eh? But I guess they're kind of related, yes?
They're similar. Like, some of the formations are a note with the ukulele as well as the guitar, but it'll be a different note. And like, I tried learning guitar when I was younger, and it didn't go well. But I actually, last summer, I picked it up and I did learn a few songs, and it was a lot easier because of the positioning of your hand. It just doesn't feel natural. Right. But now that I've played ukulele, it's a bit, and everything makes more sense now too, because it's a stringed instrument. So yeah, if I just had more time.
Notes and frets, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now there's piano, there's saxophone, there's flute, there's all kinds of amazing instruments. I'm wondering, how the heck did you start playing the ukulele?
Yeah. So I was in a band almost 10 years ago now called Hollow Romance. And I met him through going to open mics in London. But I was a singer, right? And he was always encouraging me to learn an instrument. And he said, the ukulele would suit your voice, and, it's easy enough to learn. I can kind of get you started. His name was Nick Ross. He's still a very good friend of mine. And I consult with him when I write a song. I'll send him the note, and I'll be like, hey, Nick, what do you think of this? And he'll give me honest feedback. So I love him for that. Because not a lot of people do. They just say, oh yeah, it's great, but he'll give me actual feedback. So
it's wonderful to have somebody to consult. It really is. What a difference it makes to have two brains and four eyes on something rather than just one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And Nick actually helped me get back into it here. So I owe the world to him. He helped me so much. He helped me learn how to write a song. He encouraged me to start playing the ukulele. And then actually I was pregnant. So I basically got pregnant, got the ukulele and thought, I'll practice while I'm pregnant, because what else am I going to do?
And it's small enough that it could just sit right up on your tummy without kind of a strap.
Exactly. And it would be good for the baby, right? So it's like double bonus. So I basically set the goal.
Sure. Sorry. I was going to say, I was going to say, the baby's going to go up to be like Stevie Ray Vaughan, girl or boy. You know that now, right? If you're playing, absolutely. If you're playing ukulele right to her, ears through your stomach, that that's going to happen.
Yeah. They're both showing musical potential for sure.
Awesome.
But I basically set the goal for myself after the baby was 3 months old. I'm going to start gigging, solo gigs by myself while I'm off work, so I can kind of establish that, get a handle on it, and then when I go back to work, I can still do this easier because it'll all be set up.
Sure.
And I did that.
Good for you. So
yeah.
The first time you came out, I know you said you were shy when you were younger, singing and whatnot. So the first time you came out on stage, man, were you like me? Were you shaking like a leaf?
Like back when I was 19, like when I first met Jamie and started?
Yeah, like came out on stage for the first time with actual people sitting there. Isn't that crazy?
Absolutely.
Crazy feeling.
Absolutely. Yeah, like the adrenaline rush is none like any other.
No kidding.
So yeah, it was just like the constant butterfly feeling surging through your body, right? I remember, warming up so much and just like preparing so much, picking my outfit out, like, and doing my makeup and just being so excited, practicing all the time. Well, for the week anyway, nonstop.
Of course. And it's so much fun. Even practicing is fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Speaking of that, I just found this really awesome new site that I've been using. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's called sessionslive.com.
Okay.
And it's basically musicians streaming, and you pass an audition and then you can stream, and basically random people can just tune into streaming. They can chat and interact with you.
That's cool.
And they can send like emoticons, which equate to tips basically. But even not as an artist performing on it, just watching it, I've seen some amazing indie artists from like all over the world because it's national.
Right.
And it started out in Asia. So there's a lot of people that are just singing. But if you kind of scroll through, you can find some really unique, talented people from all over, playing instruments and doing kind of their thing.
Cool. So, yeah, there you go, folks. Check out sessionslive.com and you'll see Leanne on there.
Yeah.
No,
brand new.
Like, it's like you said too, Leanne. There's so many great musicians out there. They pop up on my news feed all the time, and and I click on them, and I'm like, holy smokes! Like this songwriter singer is absolutely incredible. So it's just so many of them out there.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I seen this guy on it last night, and he was a looper. And he was a producer, so he would play something and then loop it with drums, and then he'd play like the most amazing guitar lick you've ever heard in your life, and then he'd start singing something and make it echo, and you're just like, I can't believe you're doing this right in front of my eyes.
So many talented people out there. It's unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
So and you're one of them. So that's and you're included in that list. I know that you write your own songs. When we talked on the phone, I think it's one of the first things I asked you. Do you write your own songs? Because I love musicians. I love original stuff. People that write their own stuff. It's just for me. That's kind of all I do, and I just love that. But so, what's your creative writing process, Leanne? Like for me, I'll write something. I'll pick up my guitar and do a couple riffs on my phone, and then come back to it later on down the road, and and listen to it maybe a couple weeks later, and I probably have 100 on there right now that I could go back
totally.
and write 15 songs. So that's kind of my writing, creative writing process. How do you go about writing songs?
Yeah, I have like a 2-part. So I do that. I'll sit down purposefully and write. But I also have like a running note list of like clever sayings or phrases that come to my mind. So like just a note in my phone, and it won't make any sense, right? If you read it in entirety, you probably think I'm crazy.
Right.
But frequently I'll go back to that list when I'm stuck. And we were talking before about my song Renegade. And that's the line in it is revenge doesn't always taste sweet is in the chorus. Mm-hmm. And I had that line written and I was writing the song, and then I was just kind of stuck, and I read it and I was in shock that it fits so perfectly with the entire, feel of the song and the mood. It just summed it up perfectly. So it's kind of like that. It'll be a 2-part.
Yeah, that's great. So you could be driving down the road and something come to your head, anything at all, like you'll fly my Gemini child or something, and then you say it into your phone and leave it, and then turn it into a song.
Yes. Yeah. Or a variation of it.
Or a variation of it, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. So now, how long have you been writing songs, and how many songs do you have out on the internet?
Yep. I started writing with my friend Nick Ross. So that was back in 2013. We wrote about, we were performing 10 original songs, and I think together we wrote about 8 of them.
Good for you.
So he would kind of come up with the guitar part, and then we would together come up with the melody and together write. So I wrote with him like that until 2017, and then I started doing my solo stuff, and basically I just started with the ukulele, and then I thought I'll try to write a song and see how it goes, and it went kind of well, the first one, which is always encouraging, because if it doesn't, it's harder to go back.
Exactly.
But I wrote it and I showed my friend Nick Ross, and he was like, yeah, that's good. Try this here and this here. And then my first song was Whatever Will Be. It's on my Bittersweet Remedy EP that's online. And then I kind of thought, you know what? Like, that's when I was off work with the baby and I was kind of preparing to do the shows. So I thought, if I balance my time right, and I don't watch a lot of TV. So basically my downtime then was learning the ukulele and writing. So I would probably do it 15 hours a week, really. Like, it was all I would do besides spend time with my kids. So then I challenged myself and I thought, I'll try to write a song a month, and see how that goes, just to better motivate myself and have a bit more structure and a goal. So I did that I started in, I guess, July, August, September, November, December. I wrote about 5 songs in that time. And then I basically decided, I'm going to start recording this. So it was kind of never a goal. Things just kept happening easily. So I thought, I'll do this next. And then, I'll record the EP. And then I thought, well, I'll hold a big release party, and I'll do one here, and I'll do one in Northern Ontario. Cool. And that went really well, right? So just things would happen as a result, and then I would have more opportunities, basically. But I didn't have a goal, to write and release it. I just thought I want to learn the ukulele to better, be able to accompany myself.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that's great. And you know what? Let's talk about, we have an email from David, and David says, what was it like to win the award? So before you answer that, I know that you won a prestigious 2019 Forest City London Music Award in Contemporary Singer-Songwriter category. Tell me about how that went.
That was insane. That whole night was like a dream. So
that's cool.
We went to the pre-party or whatever. I don't even know what the technical term is, but the pre-party with all the people getting awards, and the host was Maestro Fresh West.
Cool.
Yeah, and he was like on the show Mr. D as well. Like he's an established actor, and he's like the grandfather, of hip hop. So basically, I saw him standing across the room, and he was by himself. And I was there with my husband, and my husband's like, "I'm gonna go get us some food." So he left for a minute, and then he comes back, and I'm over talking to the maestro because he looks my way, right? So I was like, "It's my in. I'm gonna go say hi."
There you go.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So then we got to hang out with him all night. So that was like one level of awesome. And then we got into the award show, and there were so many people there. There was like 3,000 people there.
Wow.
And my initial thought was like, oh man, like, I don't know if I want to win this award because there's so many people here. I'm going to have to go up there and say something. But then I quickly pushed that out of my mind because, self-fulfilling prophecy. I didn't want to affect the universe or my odds. So, but then, they had the big screen. They had Sarah Smith, who is a well-known Canadian musician. She was out of London. Now she's out of BC. But she was presenting the award. So I thought, oh, wow, would this ever be great to get an award from Sarah as well?
That's just crazy.
Yeah, it was insane. And then, the names were up on the big screen because it was a huge stage. And then they called my name, and I couldn't believe it. I made my way through the crowd, and
that's amazing.
People were screaming my name out. And,
wow.
Yeah, I somehow put together some rational thoughts, and I thanked everybody. Almost cried. You heard my voice waver, but I helped together. It was amazing, though. It was unlike any experience, and it really, validated my work. Number one, it was an honor to get that kind of recognition from my peers. Being a new musician too, I had put a lot into that, but it was so great to be recognized, and it opened up a lot of doors. The next day I had an audition to work for the city. Just coincidentally, it happened to be the next day.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, good for you. And thank you for that email, David. That is your answer right there. So yeah, I mean, what a night that you'll never, you'll always remember, a night to never forget. I bet for you.
Absolutely.
I bet you that was exciting.
It was amazing. And I actually have it on video. It was fully produced. So I got a copy of that afterwards. So it'll be a nice keepsake to watch back when I'm, in my rocking chair.
Yeah. And for your kids too. So it'll always be there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I have a very nice email from Peter J. And Peter says, hi, Barry. Hi, Leanne. Saw Leanne several times in London. Love her. So nice and nice and talented. Stay well.
Oh, Peter J. That's so sweet of you. Thank you. Make sure you say hi on my social medias on Facebook or Instagram or whatever you use.
Well, let's talk about that. I want to play one of your songs for the listeners, Leanne. But before we do that, dear, let's talk about how people can find your stuff. Yes.
Basically anywhere where they stream music. I'm on Spotify, iTunes, Google, Amazon, SoundCloud, I think is another one, YouTube. And then I'm mostly active on my social medias on Facebook, and that's under Leanne Mayer Music, and Instagram as well as Leanne Mayer Music. And then most recently I've been using that session site a little bit, and I'm still trying to get up a routine because you kind of you can set shows as to when you want to play, but I've kind of just been popping on and playing.
Right.
Because I have kids, right? So it's hard to commit and say, 9 p.m. I'm going to be ready to do this.
When the little one wants to stay awake till 9:10, right?
Exactly. It's easier if I'm at a gig out of the house, right? I've got no problems then, but in the house, it's more of a challenge.
Absolutely. And so now I want to play a song, but you mentioned your children. Now, do they sit around and listen to you play and sing?
I don't do much of my music around them. Like, they have heard my stuff, and it's funny because sometimes I've known that I was going to be played on the radio, so we would listen to that together.
Cool.
But my little 3-year-old will sing "The Devil You Know." He'll sing the first couple lines and he'll get some of the words wrong, and it is the cutest thing you've ever heard.
And they're going to. Sorry, I'm sorry, Leanne. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Sorry, Barry.
No, that they're going to school saying, "My mommy's on the radio." you know.
Yeah.
My mommy's a singer, and she's on the radio.
Yeah, some of their friends know. It's hilarious.
How cool
yeah,
is
at
that?
least I'm the cool mom, though, right?
Absolutely. Folks, I have Leanne Mayer on the show this evening, and what a talent she is. We're going to go ahead and play one of her songs for you right now. And then, Leanne, when we come back, we'll discuss the song and how you made it, and we'll do it that way. How does that sound?
Sounds good, Barry.
Awesome. Folks, again, Leanne Mayer on this evening's program, and we're going to listen to one of her songs right now called See Through Lies on this House of Musicians radio show right here on Reality Radio 101.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome back, great listeners. We have a wonderful musician on the show this evening, Leanne Mayer, and we just heard one of her songs, See Through Lies. Leanne, I love your cabaret style genre thing that you have going on, very cabaret-ish. I think it's just absolutely amazing for this day and age. And these are songs these are songs that you're writing, which is amazing too. Let's talk about See Through Lies and where that came from.
Yep. So See Through Lies is the second song on my Bittersweet Remedy EP. And basically it was inspired by the breakup of the band that I mentioned, Hollow Romance. And it sounds like it's relatable to like a big heartbreak, right? That's what it was about. For me, the breakup of my band was a heartbreak at the time. And basically one of the members was telling me one thing, but it really was another reason. So basically the See Through Lies part was inspired by that.
Got you.
Yeah. And as a songwriter, you know that some of it is related to an incident and it's inspired by that. But a lot of the words and things are just words that sound good, right? So you make it more dramatic, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Sure. And so now I have an email here, but I have to ask you a question first. Do you play with a band now when you play, or do you play solo?
Well, right now I'm doing solo just because of COVID, but yes, I do have a band. We're just kind of on a hiatus because of the restrictions. We had our first jam together on Sunday, me and Mike Trujan. He's amazing fingerstyle guitar player. He's phenomenal. He plays I always say he plays anything that's string. You throw your running shoe at him and he'll play beautiful music on that.
That's awesome.
Insane, yeah. And then I've got a bass player, Adam McNeil. I have a saxophone player, Tracy Frank. And then I have Frank Reynoso, and he's on percussion. He plays like a djembe, or he'll play,
cool.
I forget the name of his other instrument he plays, but it gives it a unique sound for sure.
Well, you know what? You just answered Hannah's question. Thank you for the email, Hannah, because she asked who's in your band. So there you go.
Oh, awesome. Actually, the video on YouTube for The Devil You Know, that song was recorded at Sugar Shack Studios, and it was live off the floor, meaning we all played at the same time.
Cool.
And we recorded the video at the same time, too, which is kind of unheard of. A lot of people will go back and kind of lip sync to it. But we were lucky to have a video team with us to capture the moment. So yeah, that video was totally live, but the song was produced after professionally and then mixed.
Well, that's amazing how you guys did that. Usually you don't work it out like that. So that worked out good for you.
No, it just, we were really tight on that song. So we thought, you know what, let's try it out. It's a kind of a quicker way to get something together. And we're planning on doing 2 kind of quick singles. So we did that and the See Through live version. We did them both live off the floor like that. But it's a testament to how phenomenal the musicians I'm lucky enough to be surrounded by. They're all way better than me playing instruments. So for real.
Well, that's you have a style and they're following along. So there you go.
Yeah, it's a very good union of talent.
Absolutely. And if they can interact too, maybe with some songwriting here and there, that's always a wonderful thing as well. So
yeah, they definitely, I give them the freedom to kind of add their spin to their own parts. I bring them the finished song as far as it is acoustic. And then they'll kind of add their parts to it too. So it's great to work with such talent. I'm very lucky that way.
Good for you. Let me ask you this. When you're around the house, the kids are at school and you're doing something, who do you listen to now? Who's some of your favorite musicians?
Yeah. So right now, Kat Clyde, she's a Canadian musician, up and coming. She is going to explode in the next few years, I think. She is phenomenal. She put out this album called Hunter's Trance, and I was lucky enough to open for her on that tour. She's so inspiring. She's very young too, so she's got a lot of time to, put into it, but it's just a matter of time before everybody knows her name for sure.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I still listen to a lot of the classics, especially R&B, like Otis Redding, Marvin Gaye, all that kind of stuff is constantly playing. I love this band out of Montreal called Poe Lazarus. I got to
Okay.
play with them before too. A lot of my tastes are indie bands that I'm lucky enough to play with or see my friends play with. Um, Amy Winehouse, I've always loved. It was a shame, gone too soon.
Absolutely.
But she's always been an inspiration. But I've got a real mixed bag of taste. And in all honesty, lately I've been tuning into that session site because it's all indie musicians. And I'll check out somebody from, Ireland or somewhere else in Canada, Turkey. There were some amazing musicians out of there. So, yeah, I try to not just listen to mainstream. I try to get exposed to all different sorts because there's so many talented people out there that don't make it on the radio.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. And there's so many talented people that, people never heard of. And you're absolutely right there. I'll tell you somebody that I just recently got into. I want you to check her out. Her name is Fiona Hare.
Okay. Hair, like hair on your head?
Well, no, Hare, like the rabbit. But she's from South Africa, and it's kind of dark, but it's not. Yeah, but it's not. I don't know. You just have to hear it. It's just so. Do me a favor when you get a chance, check out Fiona Hare. I'm absolutely into her right now, so she's really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Check her out. So now, this is one of my favorite parts of the show. Tell me a crazy story that's happened to you, Leanne, either on stage, backstage, or with one of your fans or something. Just something crazy that's happened. Well, I guess the night of your award was pretty crazy.
That was pretty crazy, but I do have another one off the top of my head because it was pretty crazy for me to hear about. But I was lucky enough to play at Home County Festival here in London. It's one of the big festivals. I'd say the biggest music festival that London has in the summer. And it attracts, talent from all over. So they'll have, famous musicians as well as local indie musicians and indie musicians from all over the province or country.
Yep.
So I got to play on a stage, and next coming on the stage was Stephen Page, and a couple of other musicians, I think Mo Berg, but a couple like the Pursuit of Happiness, and I forget the other. It was a trio, and they put together a band for maybe a summer, 3 super well-known famous Canadian icons, basically. And I sang my originals, and somebody I knew was standing near Stephen Page and his bass player, and they were talking. And they said that I sounded like Linda Perry from Four Non Blondes. So that was like such a huge compliment. And the irony was we were going to perform another set that was all originals, and the only cover was Four Non Blondes. What's Up?
Wow. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It's meant to be.
Yeah. So that was a huge, huge compliment for sure.
Absolutely, it sure was. So now let's talk about you were playing live right up to COVID. I think you did say you played a week ago, and I guess now. So do you have more gigs lined up?
Yep, I have one this weekend, Sunday, at the Richmond Tavern in London. I've got another one in early April, and it's in Paris, Ontario. And then I'm back at Dundas and Sons in April again. But I post all that stuff on my Facebook pages too, or Instagram. I generally put out, show posters and stuff like that. So if anybody's interested, they can check it out there and follow me. I notice everything because I do all my own social media. So, feel free, everybody, to reach out to me there if you have any questions or, requests. If you want to see me do anything on any of my social medias, any covers or anything. If you want to tell me about any music you like. I love interacting with people. That's one of the things that I love about being a musician. So don't be afraid to reach out.
Yeah, you were mentioning that before the show, how you love to talk to other people and other musicians and get a feel of what they're all about.
Yeah.
Good for you. And so Sunday night you're going to play live, and what time is that at? You said the
Sunday
Richmond?
afternoon, actually. It's 3 p.m. to 6 p.m.
So there you go, folks. You can go see Leanne right there and then. Why don't we just tell the folks one more time where they can find you? Leanne Mayer online.
Yes. So as far as my music goes, everybody, you can find me on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Google Music, basically anywhere where you can stream music. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, and you can find me under Leanne Mayer Music. And I'm new to a site called Sessions Live, and you can follow me there to find out when I stream live. And it's really neat because you can chat with me while I'm singing, and you can request songs live, and I can play them for you. So it's a really neat site. Follow me on there. It helps me out because I can actually earn money eventually if I get enough followers.
Good for you.
And start getting paid practices in.
Well, it's hard for musicians to get paid, isn't it?
It's not easy. It costs, $10,000 to put out, an EP, really. If you're doing it right and you're promoting it, and, you're paying artists to work with you and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, absolutely. I fund it all myself, generally through performing. So it's been tough to kind of take a pause because of the situation, but yeah, it's another way. I also have merch. So I've got t-shirts, hoodies, physical CDs. And if you're interested in that, just reach out to me on any of the social medias and I can hook you up with that as well. And all the proceeds go directly back into me making more music. So it's greatly appreciated. If you can support, let me know and I can hook you up.
Yeah, that's amazing. And folks, that's what we need to do, is support our local musicians, because of course, with COVID, no one's making any money playing live. And there's definitely so many restrictions in that regard. But it's great if people can. I see a lot of performers now doing a tip jar online.
Yeah.
They'll come on and play for an hour and have a virtual tip jar, which is pretty darn cool. Some people give half the proceeds to a certain charity or something like that. So I see a lot of that going on. That's very cool.
Yeah, for sure. We're really lucky with technology. It couldn't have happened at a better time, really, because we can still be connected and we can still play music for people and still hear live music. It's different. Yeah,
it sure is. And you know what? Technology's come so far now that it's easy to get your song, across the sea. It's just so easy now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really interesting to see the Spotify behind the scenes or whatever. I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but it'll tell you which countries play your music, and there'll be, countries all over the world, and it's a wonder how it makes it there. But
yeah,
I know somehow I connected with a radio station in South Africa, and they started playing my music. And then Australia, and some other countries that I don't know how it got there. So the beauty of the internet, and it's the beauty of all of you out there sharing stuff on your social medias, because you have contacts that I'll never reach. So it's a great opportunity to help me out by just, sharing my stuff on Facebook or YouTube, sharing a video that you like, to get me more exposure.
Yeah, and people can hear you on CBC London, CHRW radio. Your songs are often played there.
Yes, and they can also call in and request, and that helps me too, for sure.
There you go, folks. Again, that's CBC London and CHRW radio. So good for you, Leanne. That's amazing. Why don't we play your next song, and then we'll come back and talk about the next song, the song that we're going to play here.
Awesome. Sounds good, Barry.
Okie doke. Folks, I have Leanne Mayer on the show this evening, and she's a very talented artist from London, Ontario. She's going to be playing this Sunday. Leanne will tell you again where she's going to be playing and what time on Sunday afternoon. Excuse me, Leanne. And excuse me, folks. So let's play her song, The Devil You Know, and then we'll come back and talk about it. Again, folks, I have Leanne Mayer on this evening's show, This House of Musicians, right here on Reality Radio 101.
1, 2, 3, 4.
welcome back, folks. Sorry about that. I couldn't seem to push the mute button back on my phone. So here we are. We have Leanne Mayer on the show this evening, and she's right now she's in London, and she just has some great music and writes great songs, like we just heard, "The Devil You Know." Leanne, tell me where that song came from.
Yeah, that song was inspired by smoking, actually. I am just coming up to my 10 years in May of quitting smoking.
Good for you.
Thank you. And it's because I've never touched one again, because I know if I would be walking right back to the corner store and buying another package of cigarettes. Because
now I feel bad for going out and having a smoke during our break.
No, you do what you got to do, Barry. You do what you got to do. But for me, it was the devil I knew, and it was, I would smoke a pack a day, and it was affecting my voice. It was definitely affecting my singing. So I made the decision that I needed to quit, and that process was horrendous.
Yes,
I always compare it to, do you remember that movie Transpotting back in the 90s?
Mm-hmm.
When he's like just dying, coming off heroin, like getting sick, sweating. That's how I felt. So I thought, if I get through this, I'm never going to do that again, because I can't go through quitting again. But that song was basically inspired by that. And as you know, as a songwriter, Barry, some songs come very easy and some are extremely tough. And this one came together very quickly over 2 nights. Not a lot of time. I quickly wrote out the lyrics with minimal changes after it. It was almost like, the inspiration was coming from somewhere, and I was putting this song out. It was the weirdest thing, because it was so easy. And it's one of my favorite songs to play, because it's so upbeat and kind of has attitude,
Yeah.
So yeah, it came together really easily for me. 2 nights, I got the idea. And then the second night I finished it, and it basically kind of stayed the same. And then we recorded it later that year, the live to air. And basically that's the track you heard. It was live off the floor. And then we did the coordinating video with it. So.
Yeah, well, you have some amazing songs online. And Leanne, the best thing for me too is I have lots of songs online. So do you, is that it's if you want to call it a legacy that we can leave behind when we're gone. Our children will grow up, their children will grow up, it'll get passed along, it'll always be there for everyone to hear. So that's one thing I love about recording, and going in the studio and recording and putting it up online. That's why I just love doing it.
Yeah. Speaking of saving stuff for our children, I've actually started recording my gigs just on my cell phone, and then posting it on YouTube, like privately, just to have record of that later. So that'll be a whole entertaining saga when they're of age. Because, playing in bars sometimes it can get rowdy with the people saying things and you interact with them.
For sure. No kidding. No, it's always wonderful to have something there. Recording live is a great idea. And then when you're a big star, there you go. So your kids can say, "Look, that's my mommy." I'm sure they're already doing that now. Leanne, what do you have going on at the moment? Like, you're planning on bringing out an album? Explain to all of us what you have going on now, what you're working on.
Yeah. So right now I'm probably about 70% done writing a full-length album.
Good for you.
Yeah, I'm not really setting any dates for myself, just because we're in kind of a weird situation. I'm anticipating it coming out end of next year, but really I don't really want to go into recording until the restrictions are lifted, because I really want to have a live in-person release show, because, it's a nice way to end a project. And I'd like to be able to, go up north and do it up there again too. So I'm hoping by end of next year, because I've got high hopes, that, by next year, this time we'll be in a whole other situation.
Yeah,
so
I'm sure it will.
Yeah. And then, but having said that, I may release some singles in the meantime. So once we start recording, I will likely kind of release a couple singles off the album prior to the full release as well.
It's good to do that too, because Leanne, people, you keep people in touch with you by, every couple of months, maybe just releasing a song. And then if it comes out later on an album with 10 songs or 12 songs, that's okay, because some of them never heard when you released the single. So now they got the whole album. So you can never go wrong by doing that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And the people who buy CDs and that kind of thing are the type that buy them because they love it, right? So they're not going to mind if it's already out online.
Absolutely.
A lot of having a CD is the nostalgia and the art in the CD.
That's so much fun doing the art too. Like, I wish vinyl albums were still so available for everybody, and even indie performers, because vinyl albums are just amazing. The artwork you can put on them.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's another one of my bucket lists, is to get something on an LP.
Absolutely. And you know what? We had Terry Draper on the show from Klaatu, and even the Klaatu albums were amazing. But all of Terry Draper's album covers and inserts are just dreamy. So that's what I love about vinyl. But Leanne, there's a segment in my show that I do that I like to call, "Well, Gary, what do you think?"
Wow, what do I think? Okay, let me run it down. First of all, I love the sax and the vocals. They sound fantastic. They complement each other. And Leanne, I love her range. A lot of the stuff she does would be falsetto for other people, but it sounds amazing. But here's my take on her music. First of all, it's very unique. I wouldn't put any type of genre on it. It reminds me, believe it or not, of a lot of European, Hungarian, Polish type of music, that kind of thing. And I think her asset, believe it or not, besides playing live, that's a total different story. These are types of songs that people in Hollywood, movie makers, are looking for, the James Bond type of thing, Live and Let Die type of things. I think she would have a really, really good luck situation trying to sell these songs or shop these songs to Hollywood people, because these are very unique songs, and all I could hear while I was listening to both of them was a soundtrack for movies. And
that's awesome.
So the older movies,
sure,
like cabaret kind of stuff. And
yeah. Well, you know what? My dream is not to be a famous touring musician. It's to sell some songs and to be able to create music around my family and still perform at this level, but to, be able to fund my music projects a little bit easier by selling some songs.
Sure.
So that is absolutely one of my dreams.
Well, I
if you have any suggestions?
Well, there's
talk to you after the show.
You're on the way for that, because the two tracks that we played on Barry's show, as I say, if I was a movie producer, which I'm not, I would be very, very interested in saying, hey, what a concept of the lyrics and the way the sax is, it flows. It would be a great, great movie soundtrack. So I think you should pursue some Hollywood stuff.
Thank you. I actually you just triggered something. I am on a local movie that's coming out. I'm not sure when, because COVID's put a wrench in it, but it's called Not Ready.
Cool.
And I used my song Afterglow on that. So that was
Excellent.
exciting. And I actually got to, now that this is coming back too, it's a few years ago now, but it takes so long to put that movie together, but I got to perform in it. So I'll have a little feature in the movie, and my name is on Internet Movie Database because of it.
Good for you,
Excellent.
Leanne. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Hey, there's so much you can do. I hear what you're saying about live performing. It takes so much work and so much money to be a live performer. If you hadn't already made it 20 or 30 years ago, it's so tough now to get out there and tour, because there's so many great people. But like, we had Chris O'Neill on the show, a fellow with a family and kids, and he wants to, he just wrote a song with Haley Jensen, and they had #1 with this song. So not only is he a great singer and has songs on the internet as well, but there's so many avenues you can take now. Like I said, he's co-written a few songs that are getting massive airplay. So there's so many things you can do.
Absolutely. And I haven't really set limits for myself. So if an opportunity comes up, I say yes, right? And just check it out.
Folks, we have Leanne Mayer on the show. Leanne, just tell everybody one more time how they can find your stuff.
Yeah, everybody, you can find me on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Google, Amazon, all the places you can stream online. I'm also on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram under Leanne Mayer Music. So if you can show me some love and follow me and like my videos, it really helps me out kind of with the algorithm so other people can discover my sound and my music as well.
There you go, folks. Leanne, we're going to continue to follow your progress. We're going to stay in touch. We'll get you back on the show in a year or so, especially if you have an album coming out, because I'm looking forward to what you have coming up next. And it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Barry, and thank you, everybody.
And to the listener, I say thank you for being here, and always dance and sing. Let the music bring your soul to the surface for all the world to see. Until next time, have a shuffle your feet kind of week, and good night. You've been listening to this House of Musicians radio show on Reality Radio 101.